Hi friends, it's Hannah and today I am doing my worst books of 2023. The books that I enjoyed the least this year, because I enjoyed a lot of books. I read 50 books and I picked out 5 to show you guys today. Let's go through them, but before we get started, if you liked any of these books, I'm so happy that you did. I'm like really glad that you did. However, just for me personally, I didn't really enjoy these as much as I had hoped. I think some of them I had higher expectations for. A lot of them I was under the impression it was a different kind of book, I guess, than what it turned out to be. And I had a lot of hope for all of these, but unfortunately, in my opinion, my reading, it didn't really impress me that much and I didn't really enjoy them. But these are the books that out of all of 50 books, there's just like 5 that I didn't really enjoy that much. And that's pretty dang good. So let's get into them. I'm not dissing any authors. These are just my opinions, or you as a reader. If you loved these books, I'm so happy you did. With all that said, let's get into it. First up is one that I don't think a whole lot of people know about or have really read. It is a middle grade book series that has been turned into a TV show. However, the first season got canceled, which I'm so mad about, and that is The Screaming Staircase. This is part of the Lockwood & Co series by Jonathan Stroud. I had really high hopes for this because I watched this first season and I really loved it. They canceled it after the first season, which I was so sad about, but I loved it and I could not wait to see where it was going. And after hearing that it was canceled and finding out that it was a book series, I decided to pick it up. I just didn't like it. This book is all about our main character Lucy, and in this world it's a very futuristic London where ghosts have basically taken over. So a lot of like younger adults and literal children are the ones fighting these ghosts off because they're more susceptible to see them. So we follow our main character Lucy becoming a part of the Lockwood & Co gang and going on these adventures and whatnot. I just hated Lucy so incredibly much. Could not stand her. It was very fat phobic as well, and it just rubbed me the wrong way, and I just hated that about it. It honestly made me feel a little bit bad about myself. When you were supposed to be rooting for this heroine, and especially seeing like the changes that they made for the TV series, I thought I was gonna absolutely adore this book. I think all of these were like 2-star reads, so I had really high hopes for this book. It just did not meet them, and I think the adaptation's really great. They really stuck along to the book, but also changed things that needed to be changed, which was fantastic. I really liked it. I loved all of the characters. I really loved Lucy in the adaptation. I hated her. I couldn't stand her. And I don't want middle graders really reading a book like this when, yes, it's a very strong like heroine, but some of the things that she was doing, I was like, that is not okay to act like that, especially if like young readers are reading that. And I was really hoping to be able to continue on with this series and get more of Lockwood because I was obsessed with Lockwood. I was so sad about this one. This one was so disappointing. I was so sad about it. Next up is one that I actually did a reading vlog with, and that is There's Someone Inside Your House. This is another book to movie adaptation. Flew through this pretty quickly. I'm not going to talk too much about this book because I have an entire reading vlog dedicated to it and a movie adaptation portion of that, so I talk about both of them because I thought it would be really fun, especially during spooky month, to read a YA thriller. I kind of stay out of like the horror genre. I do really like thrillers, I just don't really read a whole lot of them, but I just did not enjoy this. I think that there were some really kind of controversial things that got put in here. I don't know, it felt like the main character was kind of just there, and she wasn't really even our main character. She was kind of just thrown in, and I think if you just take it at face value and it's a fun spooky read, it's all about a serial killer basically invading their town, I think that the motivations were not there, however, and it just wasn't that well developed, unfortunately. You can watch more and all of my thoughts on this book. I think I ended up giving it like 2 stars, but I have a reading vlog for it, so that'll be linked down below if you want to check that out. I didn't like the characters that much. I liked some parts of it. Some parts were really good and I was flying through it, but there were others that were just not it for me, and overall I did not enjoy it. Then we have a really controversial one. So I have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I picked this up before it went like completely viral. I picked it up when people were just like talking about it and recommending it, but not really fully saying that it's literally a smut book Because if you see this cover, you would not think that this book is literally just all smut. So picking this up, I did not think that. I saw it and I saw people talking about it as like a cutesy little romance that everyone was talking about. It's a hockey romance with like a figure skater, and I thought that was like really interesting and like super fun. So I picked it up without really knowing much else other than that. And so I just didn't like that literally the characters were kind of just stock characters and solely just had sex the entire book. All of this was basically that. Personally, like books that actually have more plots than this book had and aren't just solely smut. Like, don't get me wrong, I do enjoy smut, but not to this point, you know? Kind of wanting more from the characters because I think they had a good basis, and I just wish that there was more development on their part and more of a plot. There were some scenes in here that I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And you should not be doing that. The Uber scene? Absolutely not. I could never. No. Moving on. If you've been watching this channel for like, well, I just started posting again like fairly recently, but if you've been watching me for a little bit of time or whatever, you know I'm a big advocate on promoting grief well and just like writing grief well, because I feel like a lot of the time it's just used as a plot point, which kind of really sucked. That's what happened here. In 5 Years. This is by Rebecca Searle. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, I'm so sorry. First off, cover gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. Cover goals. However, I went into this thinking that it was a romance. It's not. It's very much so a book about friendship. So once I realized that, I was like, okay, I'm really loving this. I get what the author was trying to do in showing like you don't know where you're gonna be in 5 years, because our main character Danny gets this like premonition and she's like with some other guy in 5 years in the future. She doesn't know who he is, and she's been engaged to her fiance for a while, and then you go through 5 years and you follow her friendship with her friend. I just think the author could have used something else than our main character having sex with this random man and then using that as a point of like they were just sharing their grief. They're not in love right after someone's funeral. Like, I'm sorry, absolutely not. It rubs me the wrong way. It made me feel gross. I think the author could have accomplished that in a completely different way than what she did. And quite frankly, if I read this like a year ago, it would have been very harmful. So it basically threw their friendship out the window. After all of this building up their friendship and how much they love each other, all of this heartbreak and loss and love of these best friends, all to be thrown away for a one-night stand. So you can kind of guess what this book's about and what happens. Not for me. Not for me. Finally, we are on the last book of this worst books list for me personally. I was really disappointed about this because I got introduced to this character through other books that I also read in the month of December, because I also read this in the month of December, and it just didn't do it for me, unfortunately. I was so sad about it. Solitaire by Alice Osman. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. This is about the characters in Heartstopper, specifically Charlie's sister Tori. So it follows Tori's story. I thought from like the little cameos that she had in Heartstopper, I would love Tori. I just was so bored with this book because Tori was kind of written like she doesn't care about anything. So then it made me not necessarily want to care about what's happening, and then I didn't really like the men fawning over her and like that whole thing, and it just, I don't know, it didn't do anything for me. You could definitely tell that it was written by a 17-year-old. I'm pretty sure that's how old she was when she wrote it. I really wanted to enjoy this, considering I enjoyed Heartstopper and I loved Radio Silence when I read it a few years ago. I was just so bored with this book and could not stand Tori, and she just was really on my nerves majority of the book, which was really unfortunate. But yeah, those are my worst books of 2023. Unfortunately, I did not enjoy these books as much as I wish I had. If you liked these books, I'm so happy that you did. I just unfortunately did not, and compared to a lot of the other books that I read this year dealing with a lot of the same topics that these books did, I just think that those were a little bit better. And that's okay. Everyone has their worst books, and these are mine of the year. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't come after me if you disagree, because that is not cool, and everyone should have their own opinions, so respect that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. My favorites video will be up very soon. Don't you worry, I have some of my new favorite books that I have ever read on this list, which is really heartwarming. So yeah, bye guys.